Gonna take this little skeleton here and turn it into a corpse skeleton to hold the leashes for the 2 corpse dogs I have. This arm here, I flipped the hand over because I'm gonna have an IV going into this arm. And this hand here, I melted and, well, I heated up and twisted the arm to hold the leash more like a natural position. I've screwed the legs. Got screws in there to hold them in place where I want them to stand. The bottom here, I just went through the bottom of the feet. So that's the position it's gonna stand. The head I've bent back, so it's gonna be looking up at people. We're gonna get this thing corpsed. Actually, I'm changing up the legs here. I went ahead and routed some wire through the foot, up through this leg, bent it at the knee, and it goes all the way up to the hip joint. What I'm using is this kind of wire. It's made for holding paper signs like garage sales or birthday parties or whatever. They just stick down in the ground and you stick your paper in there. I just unraveled the loop right here, and I'll probably cut it at that second loop. That way I got a good 1.5 feet to go down in the ground, and it'll be nice and sturdy doing both legs. Just took that off, routing it up through this leg at the knee joint. And then I've got this one loose, and I'll bring it up all the way up to here. I went ahead and took the top piece of the skeleton off of the legs. I got the barn red stain. Dryer lint. Gonna go to town on staining this just with my hands, the gloves, and then put the dryer lint on it. Got the corpsing all done on the top half and the bottom half, and I had this skull laying around, so I went ahead and did another skull. It's one of those skulls from Michaels. Got it on sale for $4 or something. So this stuff's got to dry. Then we can come back with the black dry brush and put it back together. Actually, I'll put it together and then I'll do the black dry brush. I got a little veil that I'm gonna put on top of the head and drape down. And this is getting the rope for the dog collars, dog leashes. And this hand here, this arm, is going to get the IV in it connected to the hose going to the blood bag. Got these blood bags from the Dollar Tree. Got a little stand for it, so I'm gonna put next to it like it's got an IV. Be back for more. Okay, now moving on to the dry brush, the black dry brush. Not so much a dry brush on this, but somewhat dry. Just cheap black gloss acrylic paint. Little paint trays. I picked up this wired jute cord from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this for the leashes and the collars coming from the baby skeleton to the 2 dogs. I got 2 of these. They are 7.5 feet long, and it's got a good little gauge wire in there, so you can bend it and make it look like it's in the wind or the dog's actually going or something. So, or whatever you want to do it with. I got some gloves because it's a little bit wet the next day, but I think it looks pretty good for what I'm going for. This hand's going to be holding the leash, and this hand is going to be getting the needle in it coming from the Vampire Blood IV bag. So should work out pretty good. Just going to dry brush. Actually, not dry brush, I'm just gonna foam brush it. And I'll use most of the really wet up inside there to dry it off a little. $10 for this skeleton at Family Dollar. I've seen these little 3-foot skeletons for as much as $49 at Joann's Fabrics. Insane. Really, on this black brush over, you can go as heavy or as light as you want to, and it's going to look good. As long as you don't go, just cover the whole thing up in black. But I imagine then it probably still will look good. It's just not what I'm going for. If you have any bits of the dryer lint that didn't get wet by the stain, hit it with the black paint. I'm going to go over this with the gloss clear coat spray anyway, so whatever didn't get wet, it's going to get sealed up. And I have a little table runner I got from the Dollar Tree. It's black with spiders all over it. It's a almost perfect size for like a veil over this 3-foot skeleton. So I'm going to be putting a little veil over this thing. I think it'll work out good with the vampire blood scene going into it. I didn't go too crazy on the spine here because it's getting covered up. So I had to turn the light there for a minute. Hit the skull up here. Got some nice big chunks hanging off. Like I say, the back here you're not even going to see. So I'm going to hot glue that veil on. Just on the head. Maybe a little bit on the back. But I want the wind to kind of catch it around the legs. I'll make the eyes black here. Several methods you can do for this corpsing. I just happen to like the stain and the dryer lint the best. I think it looks the best and it actually holds up the best. I have a bunch of skulls and stuff that I did last year with the plastic wrap and then spray foam over version. And when you start grabbing them and moving them around and getting them out of storage and putting them in storage, it likes to come off. That method doesn't seem to hold up really good. I think maybe if you did some spray foam first, then wrapped it with the plastic, let that dry, go back, then melt it, then do your spray foam on top. I think that may be the best way to do it for longevity. Then again, it's really cheap, and if you have to redo it, whatever. For me, it's just time. I'd like to eventually just have a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't want to have to keep redoing things. I'm going to definitely try out what I'm thinking on that. And I'll probably do some more that way also. I just, I like this way better. It seems to hold up better. I think it looks pretty good. It'll look good with the veil over the head. Just gonna sit it on this bowl. Throw it in front of my fan, you guys probably hear. It doesn't take long for this cheap acrylic paint to dry. This is the table runner from Dollar Tree. I thought it had spiders on it, but whatever. It's spider webs. So this is what I'm using for a veil over it for the 3-foot skeleton. It works out just perfect. Grab the legs and I'll get those black brush. So my thought was to have this skeleton and the 2 dogs on a board, already mounted on a board where I could just sit it out. But I got to thinking, running wires through these legs, sticking this down in the ground, and just sticking like a tent or one of those canopy stakes through the feet of the dogs to keep them down. I think that'll look the best, because then I can put like an actual brick or something out there for the one dog to be up on. And plus, I left these really long, so these stakes will go straight down into the ground. And holding them, this thing ain't going anywhere. Like I say, I have these stakes going all the way up to the hip joints. So we'll get this brushed up. I'm kind of trying to avoid the bare bone and just hitting the meat chunks. But if you get a little bit on the bone, it's going to look good also. Just don't go heavy on the bone part. Get most of this black brush on the meat chunks. And then just lightly hit the bones and it'll blend in perfect. And it goes really quick. Stupid love bugs on me. I know you can't really see me doing this backside, but I'm just hitting those chunks, like I said. Lightly breezing over the bone that's showing. I'm not going too heavy on the back because that veil is going to be wrapped around anyway. And this is going to be kind of pointed where you're really just going to be looking at the front of it. You need more burnt look? Put more black on it. And I like leaving these little chunks like there on the hip bone hanging off. It just gives it a really good effect. It's a little hard to show because of these wires. But I did it where it's like 1 foot in front of the other. And it's kind of leaned back a little. So it kind of gives that effect like the skeleton is kind of holding the dogs back a little bit. So that's that. Now I just need to get this back piece here that holds on the backbone of the torso. Do a little brush on that. Get those edges, that way when you put it on, you don't have that just kind of bone color showing. Okay, that's that. So now what I got to do is let this dry a little bit, put it together. I need to cut these wires, especially that one there that's been, I think I'll cut them both to that length. That'll be plenty down in the ground. And then set it up outside on the ground, put the veil on it, glue it, and then set up the IV bag. And that will be it for this. I gotta glue the little needle thing. I'm gonna use this somehow as like the IV going into the arm. I'm sure there's something better to think of, but that's my idea for now. All right, I will get this set up for once this is dry, and we'll go. Yeah, I got this clear hose here. It's a little bigger than I would like, but it actually works out pretty good for the size of these fake plunger things from Dollar Tree. So I just took the plunger part and cut it off of, you know, the actual piece you would push. And I'm gonna glue this hose to this here, this plunger piece. And I'm gonna seal it up real good with hot glue. That way I can pour some fake blood in this and it won't spill out. I'll put fake blood all around this. And then we will have fake blood in here. I'll seal this part up with hot glue. And then this won't need to seal because it is sealed. But I'll throw a little glue in there just for fun. So we'll get this glued on here. I don't know how good hot glue is going to hold to this, but we're going to find out. Doo-doo-doo. Probably going to come right off once I put it in that needle housing. And I'm just doing this, well, it's going to help hold it better, but the main reason is so the fake blood doesn't come out of it. Doesn't want to stay. Once that dries, I'll flip it over the other way and glue some, let it drip down that way. This here I'm just going to glue to the arm of the skeleton, so it should stay on there. Maybe on the tip right here I'll get one of those little wire wraps, wrap it around. Actually, I have some little wire, they have little wire rolls at the Dollar Tree. You get like 3 for $1.25. Come on, glue. I have a bunch of RC cars that you never play with. I'm thinking about taking some motors and some servos and making some kind of remote control prop. They literally just sit on my toolboxes and don't get played with. Okay, I think I got a little bit better idea. Put a slice in here. Okay, do it on 4 sides. Try to get it done before this glue dries all up. Shove this down in it. That's probably better. Okay. Sometimes you got to rethink things. This thing to dry. I'm gonna stick this in my freezer door real quick. Got this water bottle with a little frozen water in it. I'll stick that on the glue. Works a little bit. Just gonna stick this somewhere. Hopefully it stays together. Okay. Got this skeleton here. I did flip this hand so it would be like that, like if you're getting an IV. And I'm gonna take this and just glue it on here like so. Maybe I can dig a little hole in this cotton or dryer lint and stick the end of this in there. Oh yeah. Perfection. Just gluing that in there like so. A little IV would have been better, but that's what I got. Of course, I probably could have cut it. Yeah, it'll be fine. A bit of glue around the edges. And that was all she wrote. Now I'll get this mounted back to the legs before I stick the hose in there, because it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt moving it around after that. This is just going to hold the leashes for the dogs. I think maybe I'll have it bent a little. So I'll go ahead and glue this where I want it. That'll be a good angle. So I'll let that all dry up. I'll get the legs. I gotta go cut the wire on the legs, and then I'll come back and mount it to this guy. All right, I'm just doing a little hot glue for this kind of veil cover. Just kind of wrap it around how you like it. I'm telling you, this it's probably 6 feet. Yeah, it's got to be 6 feet. This 6 feet table runner at Dollar Tree. It's all black spider webs. Looks great for a little veil type deal over your skeleton if you want to do something like this. we'll do a little glue there. So I kind of wrapped it how I wanted, then I glued the back so the full skeleton can show, and that way if the wind catches it, hopefully the wind catches it that way, it'll blow it back. If it blows it forward, then can't control the wind, I guess. So I'm just going through and gluing in places where I know I would like the skeleton to be showing. I like the idea of these wires through the legs to help hold it up, but man, is it a pain in the butt to work with. A little glue here, and I think this would be just about it. Get off my screwdriver. Like I say, the rest of this I just kind of want it blowing in the wind. Maybe I'll do a little bit on the mouth here. Just to give that kind of slimy look. I think that's it. That's what I'm going for. I did tilt the head up. I don't know if I mentioned that. I tilted the head back and glued it. So that, because it's, you know, only 3 feet, so I want it looking up. I imagine most of my trick-or-treaters will be at least 3 feet, and adults. Or whoever walks up to look at it. Okay. I'm gonna get the hose in here with the fake blood in the arm there. And then I'll set it all up. And then I'll do a final walkthrough like that. It's gonna be kind of difficult to hold this and do it and keep it where the camera can see it. Just because of these wires coming out of the legs. It's a real pain in the butt to work with. It's gonna be great for display, but user-friendly, not so much. All right, I think it's looking pretty sweet for a little setup. It's gonna be close to my cemetery. So I just use that wired rope that I got from Dollar Tree to make some collars for the dogs. The corpsed out dogs you guys have probably seen on the other videos. And it just goes up to the hand that I bent. And this was just a stand for a cheap plant from the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree had these vampire blood bags and those syringes, which I glued to the arm there. And then I just had some clear hose that I ran in between them and put some fake blood in them. Got some fake blood on the mouth, but I'm probably gonna have to paint some red on there. That glue isn't looking too cool. So, yeah. Looks pretty good. I know it's a little sunny right now, the way it's positioned, but that thing was a pain in the butt to get staked in the ground. I had to cut them down even more. And when the wind was blowing, it looked pretty good with that veil. Full walk around here. Yeah, I think it'll look good.